There's this weird psychology when it comes to breaking rules outdoors.
Oh, for sure.
I was actually just thinking about this on the drive-in today. Because if you get pulled over for doing, say, 45 in a 35 zone, your pulse spikes a bit, you get the ticket, you go home and complain about it at dinner, and then you just pay the $100.
Right. It's an administrative inconvenience.
Yeah. It's annoying, but it's transactional. It's basically just a fee for being in a hurry.
And it doesn't fundamentally change who you are or, how you live your life.
Exactly. And I think a massive chunk of the hunting population, even the good guys, the ones who are really trying to do it right, they subconsciously file hunting regulations in that exact same mental folder.
The traffic ticket folder.
Right. You think, okay, if I slip up, if I hunt the wrong side of the fence, or I forget to buy a specific stamp, I'll get a citation. Like it's just a traffic ticket with more camouflage.
And that mindset is exactly what we need to dismantle today. Because if you carry that traffic ticket logic into wildlife law, you are walking straight into a buzzsaw.
Yeah, you really are.
We aren't talking about a ruined weekend here. We are talking about a ruined life.
Which sounds dramatic, I know. But looking at the data we have for this deep dive today, ruined life isn't hyperbole at all.
Not even a little bit.
We're unpacking a fantastic piece from the American Hunting Lease Association. It was written by Laura Herboltheimer just this past February, so February 2026. And she isn't some fresh-faced blogger just making things up.
No, she's an industry vet, 2 decades of experience.
Right, 20 years. She's seen the actual paperwork on this stuff.
She has. And what really stands out in her writing is the sheer scale of the consequences. She lays out a legal landscape that is entirely designed to be punitive.
It's not a slap on the wrist.
Exactly. The system isn't built to slap your wrist. It's built to crush the behavior entirely.
So our mission today is to walk you all through that landscape, from the bank account to the jail cell, and even all the way to your reputation.
Let's start with the wallet, since that's usually where the pain starts for most people.
Good place to start. I think most seasoned hunters know poaching is expensive. We've all heard the horror stories at deer camp.
Right?
But Laura breaks this down into 2 distinct categories that I think get lumped together way too often: criminal fines and civil restitution.
This is a critical distinction that a lot of people miss. The criminal fine is what you pay the court for breaking the statute. That's the punishment part of the equation.
Okay, so that's the part that goes to the judge.
Yes. And for minor stuff, say, failing to sign a duck stamp, that might just be $50. Nuisance money.
But the ceiling on those criminal fines is way higher than I realized before reading this. Laura mentions state and federal violations climbing well over $25,000.
That's just the criminal side. But the real gotcha, the part that absolutely blindsides people, is the civil restitution.
The hidden costs.
Exactly. This is where the state comes in and says, okay, you paid the court for breaking the law. Now you have to pay the people for the asset you destroyed.
Because under the North American model of wildlife conservation, that deer or that elk belongs to the public, to you and me.
Precisely. You essentially stole from the public trust, and the state puts a price tag on that theft. What's fascinating and frankly terrifying is how they calculate that value.
It's not just a flat fee, is it?
No. It's often tied directly to the specific quality of the animal.
Yeah, this is the part that blew my mind. It's essentially a mandatory hyperinflated trophy fee. Laura uses the example of an antlered deer.
Right, so if you poach a spike buck, there's a standard base cost. But if you take a trophy,
the price just skyrockets.
It does. If that deer scores 150 inches or more, you aren't just paying for a deer anymore. You are paying for a trophy class resource.
And the numbers are huge.
Laura notes that restitution alone for a deer of that caliber can run between $5,000 and $10,000.
Per animal.
Per animal.
So let's play that scenario out for a second. You make a bad call, you shoot a big buck out of season, or maybe just over the property line. You're hit with the criminal fine, let's say a couple grand. And then on top of that, a $10,000 bill for the antlers.
Correct. And if you are hunting big game, things like elk, moose, or buffalo, the base restitution often starts at $5,000 per animal.
Just to start.
Just to start. And some jurisdictions get incredibly granular with this. They will literally add additional calculations for every single antler point.
That is brutal math.
Yeah.
So it's like, that'll be $5 grand for the elk, plus $500 for this point, $500 for that point.
You could easily be staring at a $30,000 debt to the state before you've even hired a defense lawyer.
And unlike a credit card bill, you can't just ignore it or declare bankruptcy to get away from it easily. This is debt owed to the government. It follows you.
It absolutely follows you.
But money is money. You can sell the boat, you can take a second job, you can eventually recover from financial debt. What scares me way more in Laura's report is the loss of liberty. I think the average person assumes you only go to jail for violent crimes or grand theft or something.
And that goes right back to that traffic ticket bias we talked about. People don't go to jail for speeding. But in the wildlife world, many of these violations are codified as Class A or Class B misdemeanors.
And the word misdemeanor sounds light. It sounds like a slap on the wrist.
Right. But legally speaking, it's serious time. It is county jail time.
How much time are we talking?
Well, a Class A misdemeanor can carry a sentence of up to 1 year. A Class B might be in 90 days.
That's incredible.
Imagine just disappearing from your life for 3 months to a year. Think about what happens to your job.
You probably lose it.
What happens to your mortgage? What happens to your marriage?
And all over a deer.
Over a deer. And remember, that's just the misdemeanor level. Laura points out that it's disturbingly easy to cross the threshold into felony territory.
Now, felonies usually involve the commercial side of things, right? Like trying to profit from the crime.
Usually, yes. The commercial sale of wild game, so selling venison, selling bear gallbladders, that sort of underground market.
Right.
Or being a habitual poacher, someone with a track record. Those can be prosecuted as state jail felonies. Now you're looking at up to 2 years behind bars.
2 years. And once you have that F next to your name, the felony conviction, the ripple effect on your life is just massive.
You're selling.
Yeah, try getting a decent job with that on your application.
Exactly. It creates a permanent criminal record. In many states, felons lose the right to vote. And here is the ultimate irony for a hunter. As a convicted felon, you lose your right to own or possess firearms.
So you commit a hunting crime, and the result is you could literally never hunt with a firearm again.
Never again.
It's a career-ending injury, legally speaking.
It is a complete removal from the lifestyle.
Speaking of being removed from the lifestyle, we have to talk about the IWVC, the Interstate Wildlife Violator Compact.
Yes, the compact.
I feel like this is the monster in the closet that nobody talks about until it finally grabs them.
It really is the ultimate enforcement tool. Because before the compact, if you lost your license in a place like Montana, you could just drive home to Georgia or Pennsylvania and keep hunting like nothing ever happened.
Because the states didn't talk to each other.
They didn't.
It was a loophole the size of the Rockies.
Exactly. The IWVC closed that loophole tight. It's an agreement between member states, which is nearly the entire country at this point.
Yeah.
Laura mentions Texas and Michigan specifically in the article, but it's almost 48 states deep now.
Wow.
And they all agree to honor each other's license suspensions.
So walk us through the actual mechanics here.
Right.
Say I go on a dream hunt in Colorado. I get busted for a serious violation. Colorado says, you can't hunt here for 5 years.
And the moment that enters their system, your home state, let's say you live in Ohio, Ohio sees that flag. Ohio then revokes your license for 5 years too.
Just like that?
Just like that. And if you try to go to Wyoming, denied. Maine,
Yeah.
denied. You are effectively grounded nationwide.
That is the domino effect Laura talks about. One mistake in one zip code shuts down your access to practically the entire continent.
Yeah.
And we aren't just talking about a one-season suspension, are we?
No. For first offenses, depending on the severity, of course, it's often 1 to 5 years. But for egregious violations like poaching trophy animals or wanton waste, you can be looking at 15 years.
15 years.
Or a lifetime ban.
A lifetime ban. I mean, for the people listening to this deep dive right now, hunting isn't just a hobby like bowling or golf.
Yeah.
It's an identity. It's what you do with your families. It's your entire social circle.
Right.
A lifetime ban is basically social exile.
It strips away a fundamental part of who you are, and frankly, the system is designed to do exactly that. If you prove you cannot be a steward of the resource, the system permanently removes your access to that resource.
There's one more layer of financial ruin we sort of skipped over earlier, and it's honestly my favorite gallows humor part of the legal code. Asset forfeiture. Because paying the state 30 grand is bad enough, but watching them physically drive away in your truck is a whole different level of pain.
This is where the state's authority is incredibly broad. The law allows them to seize items used in the commission of a crime.
So obviously the rifle, the compound bow, that's standard. You shoot a deer illegally, they take the weapon.
Right. And your optics. Binoculars, spotting scopes, thermal imaging, those can be thousands of dollars right there.
Easy.
But the statute usually extends to the vehicles used to transport the illegal game.
And this is the absolute nightmare scenario. You've got a guy who just bought a brand new $60,000 pickup truck. Maybe he's got an ATV in the bed.
Okay.
He shoots a deer from the road, which is a huge no-no anyway, throws it in the back of the truck, and the game warden lights him up.
In that scenario, the warden has full authority to seize the truck and the ATV. And here is the kicker that people always forget.
Look at
The bank doesn't care that your truck is sitting in a police evidence locker or being auctioned off by the state.
that.
You still owe the monthly payments.
Ouch. So you're paying $800 a month for a truck you don't even have, while simultaneously paying civil restitution for the deer, while paying the criminal court fine and possibly sitting in a county jail cell.
And you have to use your one phone call to ask your spouse to come pick you up on the side of the road because your ride is gone.
That is a conversation that ends marriages right on the spot. Honey, can you come pick me up? Also, we're walking to work from now on.
It sounds funny when we say it, but it really happens. It is a massive secondary financial blow that isn't capped the way a fine might be. The total value of the seizure is simply whatever your gear happens to be worth.
So I think we've firmly established that the consequences are nuclear. You lose your money, your freedom, your gear, and your hunting privileges.
Yes.
The obvious question then is, how do we not do this? And I don't mean, well, don't be a poacher, because most of you listening aren't out there spotlighting deer at midnight.
Right, they aren't intentional criminals.
Right. I mean, how does the average well-meaning hunter avoid getting caught in these gears?
That's the key. Most violations aren't malicious, they are just negligence. Laura identifies 4 main traps in her article, and the first one is actually the most basic. Licensing.
Which feels so simple. Just buy a license. But it's really not that simple anymore, is it?
It is not. It's the stamps, the specific endorsements, the distinct zone tags. You might have your general hunting license in your pocket, but
Yeah.
did you buy the federal duck stamp?
Right.
Did you physically sign it in ink? Did you get the primitive weapon endorsement for that specific season?
I've been there. You're standing at the counter at the sporting goods store, you're scrolling on your phone app, and there are 15 different options. It's so easy to just miss one checkbox.
And that is exactly where they get you. Ignorance of the law is rarely accepted as a defense. If you are out in the field without the specific piece of paper or the digital code required for that specific animal in that specific county, you are in violation.
Period.
Period. It is low-hanging fruit for law enforcement.
So, trap number 1, double check your paperwork. Trap number 2 is one that the HLA obviously cares about a great deal, given what they do. Trespassing.
This is a huge issue, especially with the rise of hunting leases. The trap here is ambiguity. Hunters too often rely on verbal permission or just a vague idea of where the property line actually is.
Oh, Old Man Miller said I could hunt the back 40.
Exactly. But does Old Man Miller remember saying that? And more importantly, did he tell the new game warden who's patrolling the area?
Probably not.
In many states, permission needs to be explicit and often it needs to be written down. If you are on a lease, you need to know your boundaries down to the foot.
And you can't just blindly trust the GPS app on your phone, right? I mean, I love my mapping apps, but they aren't always legal gospel.
They are great tools, but they are not surveyors.
Sure.
Property lines drift in those apps. If you are standing 2 feet over the neighbor's line because your phone screen said it was okay, you are still trespassing.
Wow.
And usually that involves carrying a firearm, which instantly elevates the severity of the trespassing charge.
Trap number 3 hits right on the intersection where ethics meet the law. Wanton waste.
This is a really big one. The law strictly requires you to retrieve wounded animals and keep all edible portions.
I think some people honestly believe this is just a suggestion or like a best practice for being a good sportsman.
No, it is absolutely a legal mandate. You cannot just take the head for a mount and leave the body. You cannot let the meat spoil in the back of your truck just because you didn't feel like dragging it to the cooler in the heat.
And the penalties are stiff.
Very. Laura notes this is often a Class A or Class C misdemeanor. It is legally mandated respect for the animal.
Which brings us to trap number 4. Out-of-season hunting. Now, this seems completely black and white. The season opens on the 15th, so don't shoot anything on the 14th.
You would think it's that simple.
Yeah.
But people push it all the time. They start hunting half an hour before legal shooting light.
Oh, sure.
Or they hunt one day after the season closes because, I haven't got my buck yet and I took the week off work.
The close enough mentality.
And the law hates close enough. Seasons are set for very specific biological reasons. Breeding cycles, wintering protection, migration. Being even one day early or late isn't a rounding error. It's a direct violation of the state's biological management plan.
And I imagine they don't go easy on that.
They don't. The penalties reflect the severity. Mandatory license revocation is very common for out-of-season violations.
It really seems like the common thread through all of this is detail. You have to sweat the details. The season dates, the property boundaries, the specific stamps.
You absolutely do, because the entire system is built on a concept called strict liability.
Can you explain that for a second?
Strict liability basically means your intent does not matter. It doesn't matter if you meant to trespass or if you genuinely thought the season was open. If you did the physical act, you are guilty.
Wow.
Saying I didn't know is not a get-out-of-jail-free card. In the eyes of the law, it's just a confession of negligence.
That is terrifying, but it makes total sense. If I didn't know what actually worked in court, everyone would use it every single time. So, zooming out a bit here. Why is the hammer so heavy? We're talking about massive state and federal power. Why does the government come down so much harder on a guy with an extra duck in his bag than a guy who speeds through a school zone?
It all goes back to the very foundation of conservation in North America. We operate under the public trust doctrine.
Right.
Wildlife doesn't belong to the king, and it doesn't belong to the wealthy landowner. It belongs to the people.
Oh, all of us.
Right. So when you poach or violate these laws, you aren't just breaking an arbitrary rule. You are stealing from your neighbor. You are stealing from the future.
That's a powerful way to frame it.
The strict laws are the guardrails that keep the North American model of wildlife conservation actually functioning. If the penalties were light, if it was just a $10 fine, poaching would just become the cost of doing business.
And the resource would disappear overnight.
Exactly. The heavy penalties ensure that the risk always outweighs the reward. It ensures that we actually have elk and deer and turkeys around for our grandkids to see. It is stewardship enforcing itself through the penal code.
It's the price of admission. If we want the privilege of hunting, we just have to accept the burden of knowing the rules.
And remember, it is a privilege. It is not a constitutional right. Privileges can be revoked at any time.
So let's wrap this up. We've covered a lot of genuinely scary ground today. We've got fines that can hit 5 figures. We've got civil restitution that charges you by the antler point.
We've got jail time that can cost you your job.
Felony charges that cost you your voting and gun rights. And a nationwide ban via the Wildlife Violator Compact.
Plus the loss of your truck and your gear.
And the truck. We can't forget the truck.
Ah.
But there's one last thing I want to touch on before we go. It's something Laura alluded to in her article, and I think it might actually be the most painful part for a lot of people in this community. The reputation.
The social cost.
Yeah. We live in a world where everything is public record now. If you get busted for a serious wildlife crime, especially something ugly like wanton waste or gross poaching, your name is in the local paper. It's in the warden's field report online.
And the hunting community is much smaller than people think. Everybody talks.
It is. If you are the guy who got banned for poaching, you aren't just the guy who paid a hefty fine. You are a pariah. You're the one who betrayed the code.
You lose your standing.
Exactly. You can pay the state's restitution, you can serve the jail time, you can even go finance a new truck. But getting your standing back in a community that prides itself entirely on stewardship and ethics, that's hard.
Reputation is the one asset you really cannot buy back.
And that's the provocative thought I want to leave everyone with today. The law is out there to catch you, sure, but your own ethics are what should stop you first.
Well said.
So, for everyone listening, check your regs before you go out. Download the latest updates. Write down your property boundaries. And for the love of everything, buy the right stamps. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Stay safe and legal out there, everyone.
See you on the next one.